Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode for the finale of Season 3 and the final episode ever in this series here in Brazil. So heading into this one, we are leading the way in the championship, 9 points ahead of Sergio PEREZ and 19 points ahead of Jenson, 26 points ahead of Max Verstappen, and they are all the mathematical contenders. Here is the R&D chart. You can see there's not much to separate us and Red Bull in the final few rounds of the championship. There are the stats for the season, or for the career rather, if you're interested in those. But there are the championship standings. We also have a 16-point lead in the constructors, so a race win here would secure that. But other than that, the constructors is a lot harder to work out. So hopefully between myself and Jenson Button we'll be able to take victory here in Brazil. If one of us can do that, that is the constructors at least guaranteed. But as for the drivers, there are a lot more combinations of results to worry about. But Q1 we get through safely. I thought Pierre Gasly was going to hold us up for a brief moment there, but nonetheless we managed to get through. Lewis Hamilton out of nowhere tops the session, so great job to Lewis Hamilton. Meanwhile, Nikita Mazepin a long way down. So that's just the Hamilton factor in that one, I guess. The Mercedes car still no good and still not competitive at this level, the front of the field. So yeah, I don't know how he managed to pull that time out of the bag. But anyway, at the back of the field, as always, the two Alfa Romeos, the two Hasses and the two Aston Martins are knocked out. Q2, no real surprises either. We'll get through. Things look a lot more normal at the top end of town. Max Verstappen leading the way from us, Jenson Button in third, Sergio PEREZ in fourth, followed by Carlos Sainz and the other Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, getting through though a bit further down. Lewis Hamilton getting through, as well as the two McLarens and Fernando Alonso. The Mercedes of Nikita Mazepin getting knocked out once again. But yeah, nothing too surprising there. The other Alpine of Ocon getting knocked out, as well as the two Alfa Romeos and the two Williams cars. Very 2x2 Noah's Ark for the back 5 rows of the grid. From row 6 to row 11, it's the two Alphas, the two Williams, the two Aston Martins, the two Hasses, and then finally the two Alfa Romeos. So yeah, that is a bit of a weird thing there. Unfortunately, Ocon and Mazepin mixing up that pattern a little bit, but yeah, that's a bit of a weird one. But anyway, strange coincidences aside, let's just move on into Q3 and hope we can grab pole position. We're all in with a shot, I would say, so let's see what we can do as we set sail for our first flying lap in Q3. We come across the line and we go fastest of all, and it is Sergio PEREZ second from Max Verstappen, Jenson Button down in fourth position. So we're all in it, we're all in the top 4, and it will come down to our second flyers to see what we can do, as we're around halfway through the lap now. We are still leading the way, but it doesn't last long. Max Verstappen goes fastest, and we're not improving on our initial time, so we need to find something special in the final sector, as Jenson Button goes second fastest. Sergio PEREZ down to fourth now, so he will need to find some improvement as well. PEREZ, what can he do? He's going to cross the line in just a moment, and we'll see how that goes for him. He goes third fastest, moves himself ahead of us. We're improving on our time now through the final sector as we come towards the line, but I don't know if it will be enough. We only improved by, I think, just over a tenth of a second, so it's not a huge improvement, but we'll see where it puts us overall.
Qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top 3.
Verstappen, Button and Sergio PEREZ. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Alrighty then, so it's Max Verstappen on pole position, taking it for Red Bull in the final race this year. Sergio PEREZ, his teammate in the championship fight, down in third, and Jenson Button up in second. We're down in fourth. I read those in a weird order, but the point is, the sort of B drivers in the team that are further back in the championship have locked out the front row, and in fact we're in the reverse order of the top 4 in the championship, so that's a bit of a weird one, but if you want to make it exciting, that is exactly how to do so. Max Verstappen Not really in the driver championship fight. He'll need a win, a fastest lap, and a miracle on top of that to take victory in the championship, but for the rest of us, it is all to play for, and I'll run through that a little bit later on, what the exact scenario is in terms of where we need to finish. But yeah, you can see the full results of the season in case going on countback applies at some point, but we will worry about that later. Let's get into the race.
Welcome along then to the place where heroes and history are made. It's where the 2008 title was decided in the final corner. And it's the place, a year later, that Jenson Button stormed through from 14th on the grid to claim his one and only Drivers' Championship. It's Interlagos, and it's time for the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. Two very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Junção into one of the two DRS zones will be the key to any overtaking prospects today. And so, for one final time this season, Anthony Davidson joins me in the commentary box.
Well, the winter break is looming once again. No doubt many of those teams already have their eyes firmly on next season. But there's still work to be done here, still championship positions to decide, which can make a big difference to the prize money. So no one's going to be taking their foot off the throttle just yet.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. An immense lap from Jenson Button yesterday puts him on pole position. Sergio PEREZ lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have the scientist, SAINZ, Lando Norris, and Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Mazepin, Verstappen, and Pierre Gasly, Matsushita, Russell, Lewis Hamilton, they've taken a grid penalty, and Stroll, Giovinazzi, Ricciardo, Valtteri Bottas, and Esteban Ocon. Latifi, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Mick Schumacher, Sato, they've taken a grid penalty, and Guan Yu Zhou. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
Well, there you go. Max Verstappen grid penalty, and he's starting down the order and has plenty of work to do. And if he had any hope of the Drivers' Championship, I think it's gone now. And it also significantly harms Red Bull's chances of a Constructors' Championship win as well. So, yeah, that's really worked in our favour. And we will be in a much better position at the start of this race. But yeah, we are going to go 2 sets of softs to the mediums, and barring the rain in the middle of the race. We'll have to see how that plays out as we now go to the 5 red lights for the final time this season. Is lights out, and away we go for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Good start from Sergio PEREZ, goes to the inside of Jenson Button, who has to defend, but Button's going to hold on into turn 1. PEREZ has to slot in behind. We go a little bit wide and have to cover off Carlos Sainz, but the Ferrari driver not able to make his way through, and we hold on to P3 as we immediately go defensive along the Reta Aposta, but he's not close enough. We can maintain the position, and we can calm things down once again after a bit of a nervy start for us. We've maintained 3rd position. Button leads the way though, and this is about as good of a start as I could have asked for in this race. Obviously it would have been nice to sneak ahead of PEREZ, but it's very difficult to make any kind of overtakes here in the first few corners, so I'm not really too disappointed by that. But we are in position now, and currently as things stand, we will win the championship and the Constructors, but we're only not even at the end of lap 1. There is plenty left to play out in this one, but it's a clean start, and that's all we needed at the beginning of this race. Now we just need to see if we can chase down Sergio PEREZ, and then hopefully maybe Jenson Button, but we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, behind us, Max Verstappen has had an okay start. I think he's still where he started as he's trying to get past Nikita Mazepin, not able to get through there, and he remains behind the Russian driver for a little bit longer, so that's unfortunate for Verstappen, being held up in traffic. Mazepin going a bit defensive there, but again Verstappen not able to get through, and he will remain behind. Here's a replay of the start from the off-board shot and you can see Button and Perez on the front row. Pretty even getaway, maybe Button slightly better. I called it as Perez getting a good start, but it might have just been a trick of the perspective with Button moving to cover him off. But nonetheless, it doesn't matter. Button was able to maintain the lead. Here's the onboard with Perez, and yeah, they were actually very even on the getaway. Button slightly better in the second phase, going through the gears there, and was able to cover off the Mexican, and Jenson Button will lead the way through the first lap. Here's the onboard with Carlos Sainz. He actually got a pretty horrible start, honestly, and really dropped away in the opening few meters. Eventually got some momentum, and it was really just us going wide that gave him a brief invitation, but not enough to get through, and he is remaining in 4th position at the moment. So yeah, Carlos Sainz, not a great start. Here's the onboard with Verstappen. He got a brilliant start, and he may gain 1-2 places here, but run out of space behind Fernando Alonso there, and that is Nikita Mazepin going through on the inside. Mazepin gets back through, and Pierre Gasly as well getting through. So the AlphaTauri driver sneaking through on his teammate who's fighting for the Constructors Championship here, although Pierre Gasly, to be fair, is in the points for Alfa Romeo, so for AlphaTauri rather, so that's important for him too. But straight away Verstappen back up the inside and gets back through, and now he's on the attack once again, trying to go around the outside of Nikita Mazepin. So Verstappen really trying to get a move on in this race, but just cannot pass the Mercedes driver, who is doing a good job to hold him off. Down the Retro Apostle once again, Verstappen to the inside. He gets the car down the inside into turn 4 and gets the move done on Nikita Mazepin, and now Verstappen is free to continue on, and he will go charging after Fernando Alonso down the inside into the same corners, making this a favourite passing opportunity. Alonso still fighting hard though. Verstappen just about squeezes through. Great move by Max Verstappen, and he really had to fight for that one. Meanwhile, up the road, Sergio Perez is still piling on the pressure. Quite a few laps into this race now. Button still not getting away from Sergio Perez, who is really close this time through the center S. Is there anything Perez can do? Can Button defend the position? Perez close. Perez with the DRS. He goes to the inside of Jenson Button. Tries to outbrake him, but not close enough. And Jenson Button's going to hold on for this lap. But Perez is looking super racy at this point, and the fighting between them is going to help me close back up. I did briefly lose DRS to the leading duo, but Perez not quite able to get through. Button still maintaining the lead, and we are just pushing hard to try and keep up with these two. They are going absolutely flat out, and I'm having to really focus just to keep up, but we are doing so just about, and maintaining pace with them. But it is it's really a race of, it's a sprint race, albeit it's 71 laps. It does not feel like we are going to be racing for that long. The pace of this race in the front 3 is just ridiculous. We have absolutely dropped the field behind, and we are all really pushing each other incredibly hard at this point. But anyway, we continue to push on through the race, and we're still trying to put the pressure on Sergio Perez. I'm just hoping he makes a mistake at some point, because while he has the DRS from Jenson Button, we don't really have a chance of overtaking him. So I'm hoping we can either pressure him into a mistake, making him defend somewhere, just something that could give us an edge in some way. And Button's into the pit lane. Jenson Button making an early pit stop in this race, potentially trying to cover off any chance of an undercut. He's going onto another set of soft compound tyres, so that's an interesting call from Jenson Button, handing the race lead to Sergio Perez.
Rain is inbound, and we're expecting it in around 5 minutes. 5 minutes till the rain. Dries seem like the best tyre for now.
And now rain is inbound as well, so to add some more spice to this race,
by 17.5 seconds.
We've got various different strategies playing out, and rain on the horizon as well. So it's actually past the horizon. It's approaching rather quickly in about 5 minutes time, so we will need to be keeping a very close eye on that. But you can see we're still just stuck behind Sergio Perez. We cannot find a way past, and now Jenson Button, after his pit stop, is stuck behind Fernando Alonso. He's just caught up to him, and now he needs to clear him very quickly, but he's coming up to the middle sector. Very difficult to make an overtake in this part of the circuit. He's going to go for it. Jenson Button down the inside, and he gets the move done. What a move by Jenson Button on one of the hardest guys to overtake in the field. Fernando Alonso had nothing to fight with there on much older tyres and a much slower car, to be fair. But what a move from Jenson Button. Very, very opportunistic, and that is critical. And look at the gap he's put on Alonso already, just in the space of about 2 corners. That was an incredible move. Look at the aggression here, down the inside, and just takes the position. And that is a brilliant move. And if there was any doubt in how much Jenson Button wants to win this race, you can see the evidence there, as he is now flying. Fastest lap of the race for Jenson Button on those new tyres, as we are still putting the pressure on Sergio Perez, but we just cannot get close enough to the Mexican driver, and we just cannot find a way past. It's incredibly frustrating, and now we're catching up to some flat cars. We've barely got started in this race, and we are starting to lap people. This is insane. The
light rain will stay with us for at least 20 minutes, maybe more. Light rain is here to stay. Dries seem like the best tyre for now.
And now the rain has come. Perez is in the pit lane. We're continuing on because dries are still the best tyres. So Perez making a very early stop in this one. I don't know if he's going on to inters or another set of dries. If his soft tyres are just not going to hold on. Our tyres are fine though, so I don't know what Sergio Perez is doing. He's going on to another set of dry compound tyres, so very weird choice there, as the rain is starting to come down, for Sergio Perez to be making a pit stop now, and it's going to cost him a lot of time. Button's got a huge undercut. He won't have to stop before the switch to intermediate tyres. We're not going to stop at all in this first phase of the race until we need to switch, because it'll only be in a few laps time. And here Sergio Perez comes out of the pit lane entering turn 4, and we'll have to see where Jenson Button is, but I presume he's a long way ahead. There he is, already at the other end of that straight and rounding the next few corners. So yeah, Jenson Button has gained massively out of that undercut, and meanwhile we are just entering the final sector, so that gives you a bit of perspective of where we all are on the track, and yeah, how important the strategy could be in this race. Now we're coming into the pits, just I think 3 laps later, to put
Jenson is in the pits. Jenson in the pits.
A set of the wet compound tyres, or the intermediate compound tyres on rather, and we will come out the other side, and we'll be in the lead.
One stop left in this strategy.
So yeah, we've mastered the strategy in this one so far. Of course, we still have the switch back to dries later on to handle, but at the moment the strategy has really worked out in our favour, and just running long in that first stint has worked wonders for us. Here is the stop for Jenson Button, and he gets a little bit of a slow pit stop with the delay there, as the team was still preparing for his, but he remains ahead of Sergio Perez, and that is good. So we now have a 1-2 position in this race, as nothing really happened in this stint, and Jenson Button did catch up to us. We let him go, and he can continue to push on into the lead, and we will sit in second position for the time being, because we just don't have the pace of Jenson Button in the rain. We've been making a lot of mistakes, and yeah, just things like this just keep happening, and we just don't have the same consistency that we did in the dry. So we let Jenson Button go, and he can continue to stretch
No rain expected for the time being. Inters look like the best tyre for now.
Stretch the gap to Sergio Perez, and who knows, maybe we can do a bit of holding him up.
Tyre condition is still looking good.
To Sergio Perez. But anyway, for now, we will continue to push on, and we are...
Conditions look stable at the moment. No rain currently expected. Not sure whether dries or inters are faster. We're right on the crossover.
That's exactly what I was about to say. We're on the verge of switching back to the dry compound tyres, and we still maintain second position. So we will be going into the pits at the end of this lap to put a set of soft tyres on. That'll take us to the end of the race. We don't need to use... Whoa, that's a loss of the back end, and we're off the road. Perez gets through, and we dump a few seconds of time, and that's a critical mistake.
Has been enabled. DRS DRS is now enabled.
And there's the reason
Check
why
your
the
MFD
track is
for
no
a new
longer suited
strategy option.
to intermediate tyres, and yeah, just caught us out there on the exit of that right-hander. So yeah, we lost the spot there and a few seconds, but it's not a race-ending accident. It's just a little moment off the road, so it's not too bad, and we have a chance to make up for it later on. We have a look at Jenson Button and Sergio PEREZ getting new tyres on the car, and then here we come into the box, and we are all switching on to soft compound tyres, so that is good, and we can fight it out on an even playing field for the rest of the race. We have a bit of time to make up, but nonetheless we should be in the fight by the end of it. We did have the pace, I think, to take it to them, so we just need to be consistent. That's the key in this final stint, as we're catching up to a bit of a wall of lapped cars, and we have to navigate our way. That's Daniel Ricciardo. He's in 10th position, and we're putting him a lap down. If
There's been an incident on track resulting in loose debris. Fortunately, the marshals have managed to clear it up in time, and there are no plans for a safety car right now.
if any one thing shows how the pace of this race has been for the front runners, we just put a lap on the
Gap
9th
to
place
teammate
car,
ahead is 4.8 seconds.
and what we're past the halfway point now, but yeah, it's crazy. The speed difference between the fastest and slowest cars is extremely prevalent in this race. But anyway, we're trying to now put the pressure on Sergio PEREZ as we look at a battle further back. This is Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris fighting it out side by side, and looks like Norris is just about going to hold on, but Leclerc has been catching up to the McLaren driver, and we'll see how it goes. Leclerc close this time, and he goes to the inside. Norris blocks him off. Leclerc to the outside of Lando Norris. Contact made, and Leclerc's got damage, and that's unfortunate for Charles Leclerc, as a piece of his front wing bails out and says, "Goodbye, I am not taking any further part in this race." And there's the damage on the front left corner of Charles Leclerc's car. You can see there, and you can just see the time he's losing through these right-handers. It's awful. And we'll see on board exactly what happened here with Charles Leclerc. And you can see he was close here. He was trying to make the move at the center S. Didn't work out for him, but he's just got more grip. And we'll see what happens. He looks to the inside and now tries the outside. Norris just understeers right into his path. And yeah, Norris a little aggressive on the defense there. Leclerc not leaving him a ton of room on the inside either, so I think that's a bit of a 50-50 one. But either way, Charles Leclerc is in the pit lane and is getting a new front wing on his car. So unfortunate for Leclerc, and he now drops down the order, and I think he eventually ended up a lap down in this race after that incident. So unfortunate for Leclerc, and he now loses us a lot of time in this race. But now Max Verstappen trying to make the move on Carlos Sainz. This is the battle for 4th and 5th, so if Carlos
Keep managing your tyres. Manage your tyres.
can hold him off for a little bit longer, that will be very helpful for us, though they're not really anywhere within range of us. The time that Verstappen has lost in the traffic is ridiculous given the pace that Perez has had. It's a surprise Verstappen hasn't had some more pace to get through the field, but round the outside of Perez we go, and we get the job done and move ourselves up into 2nd position, and that will secure the 1-2 in the race now for us, as Perez was very good to us there, left us room on the outside, and didn't fight that one too hard. But a bit of a moment on the exit for us, running wide, and Perez back up the inside, and Sergio PEREZ gets back through. So Sergio playing the waiting game there, being patient, and it's paid dividends as we are scrapping away and fighting our way through a host of lap down cars. It's very interesting. Now we go around the outside of Perez, and Matsushita right in the way of Perez there, and there's a yellow flag behind. Was there an incident between those two cars, the AlphaTauri and the Red Bull? And we'll see what happened. They just avoided contact. The yellow flag, I think, just for Matsushita backing off there, but that was almightily close and a scary moment for Sergio Perez, but it's not slowing him down on the run to turn 1. Down the inside goes Perez, and he gets the job done, and we have to slot him behind. And this is a somewhat important battle, because if we can beat Sergio Perez, that will bring Jenson Button up into second in the championship based on countback. It will equal them on points, but Button has more race wins, so I do want to see the team get 1-2 in the championship, and that will be an awesome way to finish this off. So this is an important battle, and let's see if we can take the lead of this one once again round the outside of Sergio Perez, and we get the job done. And that is a much cleaner overtake this time, and surely this will be the one where we can hold on, and who knows, maybe we can chase down Jenson Button. It would be really cool to end the season with a win, but Button is quite far ahead. But even if we could just catch up to him and do a side-by-side formation finish, that would be quite cool. But there is Sergio Perez being held up by George Russell. Horrendous there from Russell. What is that? He's a lap down, or 2 or maybe even 3 laps down at this point. He's had a pretty slow race, to be honest. And oh, that's a moment for us, and we're almost into the wall. But we just about managed to save it. But that was a scare, and I think that's a sign that we're not meant to catch Jenson Button in this race. We were getting close, but that was a big moment, and we almost binned the car and the championship with it. So I think we might just back things off a bit from now on. We're on the penultimate lap of the race, so yeah, let's not push things too hard this late in the championship. Perez down the inside once again though, so we do need to fight this one, as we managed to maintain the position around the outside and hold on once again. And I think that will secure for us, as Perez not close enough now to go for a move into turn 4, the last real overtaking opportunity. So I think P2 is safe. I think the 1-2 finish is safe for us in this race, but I think the real star of the show today has been Jenson Button. He has absolutely dominated this race. He held off the Sergio Perez charge in the first stint. Played a good strategy by making his first pit stop early and covering off the undercut, making sure that Perez couldn't sneak into the lead, and that has really helped me out in the Drivers' Championship and in this race alone, to be fair. But the pace in the later phases for Button, he has been absolutely untouchable. And Jenson Button is going to come towards the finish line now. He's going to win the Brazilian Grand Prix and secure the Constructors' Championship for the Samurai F1 team. And that is a superb performance from Jenson Button today. We're going to come across the line for P2.
Fantastic drive. And it means your driver's world champion. What a result. Enjoy it.
And the World Championship on top of that. Our second driver's title, our first Constructors' title.
And with that, another year of Formula One draws to a close, and a new World Drivers' Champion is declared. Another entry added to that prestigious list of the sport's most incredible drivers. Victory today then, but bittersweet emotions, I'm sure, as the championship slips through their fingers. Even so, what a fantastic final race of the season this was. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
Well, I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of that race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium.
Well, there you have it. A 1-2 finish to end off the Samurai F1 team stint in Formula 1. And Sergio Perez, our main championship rival in Season 3, up there on the podium as well.
So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Let's give it to Esteban Ocon. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
With that result, the sport's newest team can no longer be touched at the top of the table. What an incredible journey this has been for a team many had written off a short time ago. They are Formula One World Champions. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, there you go. Double champions, drivers and constructors. Honestly, that is really, really awesome to finally get that done. I was a little bit worried, honestly. One reliability issue in this final race for either myself or Jenson Button, and that would have been all the more difficult, but we were able to get the job done and finish off 1-2 in the championship. Only just though. Button equal on points with Sergio PEREZ, but winning that one on countback. So cool to finish that off with the 1-2, and PEREZ, Verstappen 3rd and 4th. Might as well read out the rest of the point scorers this season. Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Daniel Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso rounding out the top 10. Remember back at the start of the season, the first 2 races, Ricciardo and Hamilton won the first 2 races. I can't remember in which order, but how this season has evolved, and they've just been absolutely nowhere the last half of the season, really. It's just been between us and Red Bull pretty much since round 3, where the early teams to have won races. So yeah, very strange times. But anyway, Fernando Alonso sneaking into the top 10 by 3 points ahead of Nikita Mazepin, who just missed out on the top 10. George Russell, the only point scorer for Williams, he finishes 12th in the standings. Good effort from him to score 6 points in this season. Pierre Gasly on 2 points, Esteban Ocon on 1 point, and I think the 2 Aston Martins both scored a point each as well, Lance Stroll and Antonio Giovinazzi. As for the constructors, of course, we took the win there as well, 35 points ahead of Red Bull in the end, and 120 points ahead of Ferrari in 3rd. So that just shows the gap in points, and they didn't even win a race. The other teams to win were McLaren and Mercedes, who were in 4th and 5th. Alpine were in 6th, followed by Williams, AlphaTauri and Aston Martin, and they are all the teams that scored points. Alfa Romeo and Haas did not score. So it's been an interesting one. Also worth noting, 6 cars finished on the lead lap in this race. 6 cars. We lapped Charles Leclerc, who finished 7th. That's just crazy.
First of all, congratulations. You must be thrilled. Your team dominated the race today. Was it the car or the teamwork? What's the secret to your success?
It's a bit of both, really. We had a fast car, obviously, but we also worked well with Button and, helped each other.
You've clinched the title. Was this an easy season for you, or has it been a struggle?
It's certainly not been easy. We've had a great competition with Button and PEREZ and Verstappen as well, so yeah, it's been a very tough season, but we've managed to come out on top, which is really, really cool. And to win both the drivers and constructors is amazing.
Everything went your way today. It looked like you had a really good strategy for the race.
Yeah, we did. Going long in the first stint was definitely the right choice. And Button stopping early to cover off the undercut from PEREZ. Both ways worked out well.
Will you be celebrating with your teammate tonight after their hard-earned victory?
We have plenty to celebrate, I think. We will have more pizzas than we could ever know what to do with. So, we'll be definitely celebrating.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Thank you, Claire. Alrighty then. That brings not only the Brazilian Grand Prix, not only the season, but also the entire series to a close. We win our rivalry with Lewis Hamilton. Not really a surprise there. And that's it. I don't really have anything else left to say. I do have a few more little bits and pieces I want to show off just for the fun of it at the end of the video. But as for the my team journey, that has now come to an end. So we'll head back to HQ for the final time and just do the final few things in the series. So I'm not going to cover activities or department events or any of that kind of stuff, seeing as they're now inconsequential, but I am going to show off this. I decided, since I'm not doing the next season, I'll sign up Lewis Hamilton just to see if I can cause some chaos in the driver market. He accepts, and we enter the bidding war with Mercedes, which we in turn win, and we get Lewis Hamilton. So I'm hoping something funny will happen in the driver market. But before we go any further, we have an interview with Will Buxton.
Here we are in the HQ of our newest Formula One team. We've got an awful lot to talk about, so let's jump straight in. That interview clip circulating online paints your teammate in a pretty bad light. From an outsider looking in, it seems like your team's making a conscious effort to avoid talking about the issue. Why is that?
Seriously? We just won the Drivers' Championship for the second year in a row, the Constructors' Championship for the very first time, and you're asking me about whatever that is.
In a recent interview, you spoke on the topic of mental health in sports, and you mentioned you were initiating a mental health program at your team HQ. What drove this decision?
Well, I don't know. I feel like I've answered this question before. Actually, I think I've answered this question in the last two interviews.
The recent flooding at the factory must have been a significant setback for your team. How much impact does something like that actually have?
Yeah, obviously there's potential damage to a lot of different equipment, pieces of equipment around the factory, but you just have to just try and make sure you minimize the loss, and hope that it never happens again. But these things happen from time to time. Everyone has to deal with different issues that crop up, so it's just another one of them. But yeah, it's not good for sure, but you just got to deal with it.
You recently joined us on an episode of F1 Paddock Pass for a deep dive into the management of your team. The public reaction to that feature was overwhelmingly positive. Not trying to force your hand here, but can we expect you to take part in future episodes?
Yeah, I think so. We've done it the last 2 years now, so I think that's something we should hopefully continue to do.
We've heard rumours that your engineers and teammate have had a difference of opinion on where you focus your development efforts. As someone with experience as both a team manager and a driver, how do you tackle disagreements like this?
These things happen from time to time. Obviously, sometimes the driver knows best, sometimes the team know what's best, sometimes it's somewhere in between, but yeah, you just have to try to resolve these issues.
Well, thanks so much as ever for your time. It's hugely appreciated.
Alright, thank you, Will. Here is the end of season acclaim that we get, leveling up a number of times for both myself, Hamilton, and the team. Of course, we don't get to see how it affected Jenson and Button, unfortunately, just as a little false to the way the menus work, really, in my opinion. But anyway, we now have $71.61 million in the bank after that season, which is just insane. But yeah, and there it is, the Drivers and Constructors Championship this season. So that is absolutely awesome. So let's just check out the driver transfers. Hopefully there's something interesting. And something I didn't even think about before is the R&D chart. But you can see how it has affected everything. We still have the fastest car. This is all irrelevant, of course. Not doing another season. Red Bull losing a lot of progress there. But notably, AlphaTauri are the ones who gain the most. No one else actually gaining progress on the R&D chart between seasons, I don't think. So that's very interesting. They managed to improve. Looks like AlphaTauri there completely just flatlined. Haas lost a lot of progress. Alpine, huge amount of progress lost for them. So yeah, it's very interesting. And also looks like Aston Martin very much flatlined. Williams jumping up the order a bit, not losing too much. And they're now actually very close to McLaren, so it would have been really interesting to do another season of this. So yeah, it's a shame that's not going to happen, but anyway, as of the time of recording this particular audio clip, I do now have F122, so I'll be making videos on that very soon. I do have one other special video planned until I'm finished editing the first F122 video. I am, as of this moment, I have not yet played the game, It's still installing at this very moment, so yeah, still waiting for that one. But yes, F122 videos coming very soon, somewhere during the week. But yeah, as for the driver transfers, though, unfortunately there wasn't too much interesting. Of course, we took Lewis Hamilton from Mercedes, and on the list here you can see they've only got Mazepin listed and no other driver, but I can confirm that was Valtteri Bottas, just a glitch, not showing up on the menu there. And the only other interesting one really is Yuki Tsunoda returned to the Haas team and replaced Bottas there, so that's really the only major change. So for the final time on this game, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I do really appreciate it. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments, it's always very helpful, but other than that, I will see you next time.